Namaste. Let me begin by invoking the Guru Parampara and hoping that they continue to bless us so that we can grow and glow in yoga. Tadparamparaya vidmahe Jnanalingeshwaraya dhimahi Tanno Guruh Prachodayate Om. Om Yoga Maharshi Dr. Swami Geetananda Giri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Puduvai Kalaimamani Puduvai Shakti Yogacharya Ammaji Srimati Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani Guru Mata Ki Jai. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Recently, one of my very dear members of the yoga family worldwide, my Geetananda Yoga Parivar, Vishwa Yoga Parivar, asked me a question, and I thought I'll make a video and then we'll transcribe it into an article. And her question was, we see so many different titles being used in our yoga circles. What do these titles mean? What is the implication? Is there a hierarchy? Because we often find people being called Yogacharya, Yogacharini. You find Yoga Chemmals, Yoga Thilakam, Yoga Ratna, Yoga Chikitsa, Sahayaka, Yoga Chikitsa, Acharya, Yoga Chikitsaka, Yoga Sadhaka, Yoga Sadhaki. We find all these terms being used. And this is why it is important to try to understand what these terms mean. Let me start with the term Yogacharya. When I use the term Yogacharya, it implies someone who is living yoga and enabling others to learn through their example. So someone who is a living embodiment of yoga, thus enabling others to learn from their example, modeling on that Acharya. So Yoga Acharya is someone who lives. Chara is to move, to live, to be nourished. So someone who is in that Achara, which means the living in tune with the concepts of yoga, Yogacharya. It is not just any yoga teacher. And the title of Yogacharya should be ideally given by one's guru. All titles in yoga should be given by one's guru, please, not by organizations. But today it's become like that. When the guru feels that this Sishya, this student, this aspirant has come to a level of understanding of yoga, is living yoga, and can be a role model for others to learn from. At that point, the guru says, you are fit to be a Yogacharya in masculine, Yogacharini in feminine terms. Swamiji and Ammaji, with our 6-month training at the ashram, felt at the end of 6 months people had attained that. And so on March 25th, when the student graduated from the ashram, was given the title of Yogacharya, Yogacharini. Many years down the line, Ammaji felt that many of these acharyas and acharyanis, once they got back into the big bad real world, didn't sustain that achara of being an acharya in yoga. And hence Amma said, at the end of 6 months, I'll give people yoga sadhaka or sadhaki, someone who is committed to the practice of yoga as a sadhana. Sadhana is not just any practice, it is a practice with the higher intentions. Satkara, as Maharishi Patanjali reminds us. And it should be firm foundation, Dhrida Bhumi. So we had the yoga sadhaka, yoga sadhaki, and then when people would come back to the ashram, after many years of observing them, again the guru observes the student for many years. It's not you passed out from my 200-hour training and now I have nothing to do with you. It is a continuous relationship, evolving relationship, Guru-Shishya. And so, Amma said after many years of observing these students who are now teachers, when they came back, Amma would then honor with the Yogacharya, Yogacharini. So you can see that a sequence started to develop. Now we also found that many of the practitioners of yoga, the teachers especially, were lights of yoga. So the term Yoga Jyoti started to be used. The light of yoga, Yoga Jyoti became another title that used to be used. And Yoga Chemmal. Chemmal is a Tamil word that is manifesting prosperity, abundance, exuberance. And so the Yoga Chemmal started to be used, which means the one who is exuding yoga. Chenmai. Chenmai means very manifest, very abundant, prosperous, illustrious. But then there's another one called Yoga Thilakam. Thilaka is one, it can be the tilak you place here, but it also refers to a star. That which has the star-like quality, the one who is shining so bright and can be an aspirational model for others who are seeking. So we started to use the Yoga Thilakam, and currently for the Pondicherry Yogasana Association and our normal circles, when we find someone who is manifesting yoga in a good way, sharing it well, we start to honor them with the Yoga Chemmal, and with seniority, we start to go into the Yoga Thilakam. So we have Yoga Chemmal, Yoga Thilakam, we have then the Yoga Sadhaka, Sadhaki, Yogacharya, Yogacharini. And when someone becomes a jewel of yoga, a gem of yoga, Yoga Ratna. For example, Madan Mohan sir was honored with Yoga Ratna. Ratna is that jewel, shining bright like a gem. And so in the Indian Yoga Association, when we started to honor the pioneers of Yoga Chikitsa, yoga as a therapy, we chose the very apt title Yoga Chikitsa Ratna, the gem of Yoga Chikitsa, the gem of yoga therapy. And these gems have been offering beautiful sessions in the cycle program of ICYER. I have learned so much in the last 11 months with 11 of these gems, Yoga Chikitsa Ratnas. And then we have the Yoga Chikitsa Acharyas, those senior members of the yoga therapy community who are sharing, teaching, leading by example. So we said Yoga Chikitsa Acharya. You have the yoga therapist, Yoga Chikitsaka. Chikitsaka is the therapist. Then we said there is the new people coming in. They have got the training in yoga therapy and now they are learning, they are going through an apprenticeship and in like an internship, apprenticeship under the acharyas. They are growing in it. So they are assisting the acharyas. So yoga, chikitsa, sahayaka. So you have yoga, chikitsa, sahayaka. So for me, someone who is newly coming out of a comprehensive yoga therapy training should first be a yoga, chikitsa, sahayaka with a few years of experience and both life experience and clinical experience, grow into becoming a chikitsaka, and at least a decade of working with real life people, living the yoga and the yoga therapy, sharing with others, creating the next generation of yoga therapists. You become an acharya, and when your life has been filled with sharing, well, at that point you become a ratna. Another term we find is Yog Rishi. And this was one term that was often used to Swamiji. Because Swamiji was a Rishi incarnate. He was a Rishi. You looked at him and you knew what the Rishis would be like. And that is why recently Rajiv ji in Delhi called me a Rishi Putra. I think one of the greatest compliments. A Rishi Putra is a very, very high compliment that I take very deeply to heart. Amma used to love the title Rishi Patni because she was the wife of a Rishi. All of the Rishis were married, okay? All of them were married, and the wives of the Rishis were as good, if not sometimes better, than the Rishis themselves. They also became what was known Rishika. The female Rishi was Rishika. Rishi Patni is the wife of the Rishi. So Swamiji was often termed a Yog Rishi. And when Swamiji attained Mahasamadhi, I remember Swami Anandaji, who was here with us on that day, he said from now on, Swamiji should be referred to as Yoga Maharishi. So when Swamiji was alive, we never used the title Yoga Maharishi. It was Yoga Rishi, Dr. Swami Geetananda Giri. But then upon the advice of my senior mentors in the field of spirituality, and especially it was Swami Anandaji, who told me on that day as we did the ceremonies for Swamiji and the Pratishtha of the Linga, he said, Ananda, from now on, the term should be used Yoga Maharishi, Dr. Swami Geetananda Giri, and Guru Maharaj. And that is how it is only after Swamiji's Mahasamadhi, the Yoga Maharishi, the great Rishi of yoga, came into being. So, not to put too much of a hierarchy, but I would say that all of us are ultimately yoga sadhakas and sadhakis. Because we have to be a student for life and a life student. And that is why having that inquisitive student approach is so important. So never lose that. So I would say that the term yoga sadhaka, sadhaki can be used when one has committed to the path of yoga, not just signed up for yoga classes. But you have committed to the path of yoga. Someone who is committed to the path of yoga is yoga sadhaka, yoga sadhaki. Through that commitment has come to a level to guide others by example, Yogacharya. Shining bright, exuding yoga, yoga Chemmal. A bright light that can guide us like a star, yoga Thilakam. A luminosity of yoga, yoga Jyoti. A yoga Chikitsa Sahayaka, coming into the field of yoga therapy. I mean, you have trained as a yoga therapist, not just you like yoga therapy, okay? Today you have a lot of medical doctors who like yoga and so they become yoga therapists. Sorry. You have to train. Training, training, training. There's no way out of it. I'm sorry, but no way out. Yoga Chikitsa Sahayaka is where you are a new graduate. Yoga Chikitsaka is with experience, you become a therapist. Then you become an acharya, yoga chikitsa acharya, and one day you will be a ratna. I don't know how many of us could be rishis. Rishi Putra is good enough for me. But Rishi Patnis, Maharishi. And in all of this, another very amazing term, the term yogi. I hesitate to use this term in modern world because that term is such a loaded term. Today, you buy a yoga mat and you proclaim yourself a yogi. Stupidity at its peak. You know, in the Bhagavad Gita, Yogeshwara Krishna tells Arjuna, he says, Tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi, jnanibhyo apimadodikaha, karmabhyas chadiko yogi, tasmad yogi bhavarjunaha. This was a favorite quote. Madan Mohan sir would always end his PPT with this. Tasmad yogi bhavarjunaha. O Arjuna, may thou be a yogi. May thou be a yogi. Who is Arjuna? All of us are Arjuna. Who is Krishna? Pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is reminding us that the purpose of our existence is to be a yogi. And that yogi, tapasvibhyo adhiko, is greater than the one who is only doing tapas. Jnanibhyo apimadodikaha, even greater than the one who has all the jnana, the wisdom. So it is not intellectual gymnastics. Tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi, jnanibhyo apimadodikaha, karmabhyas yogi, the one who is engaged in karma, in doing the action, even if it is nishkama. Nishkama karma yoga is the goal. Even beyond that is the yogi. Tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi, jnanibhyo apimadodikaha, karmabhyas adhiko yogi, tasmad yogi bhavarjunaha. That is the state of yogi. And this is why if somebody is a yogi, they don't have to run around saying, I'm a yogi, I'm a yogi, I'm a yogi. Are you enlightened? Yes, sir. Are you a yogi? Yes, sir. It reminds me of the time when Amma was teaching us kids at Kambleswami Madam, and she had described the gunas, tamasika, rajasika, sattvika. And at the end of the class, she asked hundreds of kids who were sitting around the trees in the Madam, how many of you think you are tamasika guna? Nobody put their hand up. None of the kids. Not one. How many of you think you are rajasika? A couple. How many think you are sattvic? Everybody put their hands up. You learn a lot when you teach. Everybody thinks they are perfect, and so they get offended. If you realize you are not perfect, you will never get offended, right? To be the best version of yourself, a noble human being. For me, a yogi is a noble human being. Swamiji used to tell us, initially it was, we were Homo sapiens. No, first we were Homo erectus. We had to stand erect. Homo erectus, we became Homo sapien, the wise human being, and then we called ourselves Homo sapien sapien, the very wise human being. Gave ourselves that self-title. And he said the next level of evolution is into that state of a noble human being. He used to call it Homo nobilis. Homo erectus, Homo sapien sapien, and Homo nobilis. That noble human being is actually what a yogi is. I hope this talk clarifies some of these terms that are commonly used in yoga circles. I'm not even going to go into many of the new age stuff that is there. But you find people being called yogi, you find people being called Yogacharya, Yoga Thilakam, Yoga Chemmal, Yoga Jyoti, Yogacharya, Yoga Chikitsacharya, Yoga Ratna. You even have Yoga Maharatna, the great jewel of yoga. And there are many out there in the world who deserve these titles. I'm not against the title, I'm against the misuse of the titles. Let's all have a wonderful day, learning, sharing, caring together. Hari Om Tat Sat.